It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belghast, and let's start the show.
Hey folks, it's that time again. Time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 564. Tonight I'm joined by Ace.
Hello.
Ashgar.
Salutations, traveler.
Tam.
Hello.
Thalen.
Hey there.
Yeah, so we're down some folks for various reasons. And I am going to say a thing at the top of the show that's kind of a warning to our listeners that if you don't happen to follow my blog for whatever reason, I am dealing with cancer and I am going through chemotherapy every other week, and sometimes the schedule for this podcast is going to be adversely impacted as a result. So, fair warning.
We got you back.
This is an off week. Last week was an on week, but also we didn't record for various other reasons. So, yeah, like I don't want folks to worry if there are gaps in our schedule, because we've recorded, 564 of these. We will eventually show back up.
Yeah, worry not.
So the only real topic that I have this week is the concept of moon joy and being happy to see space flight again.
Yay!
It's so good.
And also just like how surreal it was to be watching the mission on Twitch.
Yes.
And also
Twitch
like
drops.
With Twitch drops, yes.
that's wild. Yes, and also just like seeing how much the astronauts were clearly like enjoying this and excited.
Well, and it's
awesome.
wild.
Yeah.
Just the difference in resolution that we have now.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Oh man, the photography is
Like the photographs are so good they almost look fake. Like they're so high res. I cannot wait until the eventual landing mission, because that's going to be even more wild than what we just experienced.
Yeah.
Because like I expect him to live stream from the surface too, and it's
probably not. There's some logistical issues there.
That's
I don't know.
Difficult. I'm just imagining, hey fam, here we are on the moon.
Exactly. It's a happening spot. 5 stars out of 5. Okay, Rabbit and Steel got an update.
Yeah, well, I was mentioning games that got updates last week, I guess 2 weeks ago. I realized I missed Rabbit and Steel, which got its first major balance update since launch. So it was interesting to see that. In it, they buffed a lot of things that were previously a little weak, did not buff some things that I feel like could have deserved it, like the Druid could have used a new secondary and didn't get one. Oh well, it's fine. The Druid's fine. But basically, I think a lot of things are better. They also, I believe, at the same time, nerfed the hardest of some of the extra bosses. The stupid tree, in particular, who is a giant pain.
That tree.
But yeah, sort of interesting to see what a balance pass looks like for that game. It is fairly minor, but touches some interesting things.
That's pretty cool. I'm glad it's continuing to get updates and attention.
I mean, it sort of feels like just a part 2 from the DLC patch.
What is Screamer?
Screamer might be Ash nerd sniping me.
What did I do?
You offhandedly mentioned.
Oh, yes. Okay, I know what this is now.
Ash, I don't even remember. We were playing Last Epoch or something, and Ash offhandedly mentions like, "Oh, hey, this is a sort of interesting looking game. It looks like Burnout and meets Blur, or was described as Burnout meets Blur." And I'm like,
That is how I described it. Yes,
I like both of those games. I will look into this. So I watched the trailer, and the trailer is Burnout meets Blur with a heavy overlay of 90s cyberpunk anime.
Yeah,
okay.
Which sure is a vibe. This game has a vibe. It is a like it is very much it's got a very Burnout vibe to it. But again, like rather than the sort of real cars aesthetic, it's a extremely like cyberpunk street racing supercars aesthetic.
So is it F-Zero?
Almost.
No,
it's
not
I mean
quite.
it's like actual
Okay.
cars.
Okay.
But it's got a whole
It's cars in the
plot.
same way that Blur was cars.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't expect them to handle like real cars.
No. It's you're playing. It is an ensemble cast racing game in which you are racing. You are like following multiple different teams who have different cars through this like twisted metal-esque like underground street race that's predicated on this secret technology that only this race has that like rewinds time if the device is destroyed, it rewinds time to a little bit before, which is how you don't die when your car explodes all the time. And in this context, you have like different groups that are all doing various things. Like the very first group you're introduced to is a group that's like ex-mercenaries who are out to get revenge on some other guy who's racing in this thing and is like, all right, we gotta kill him on the track and make it look like an accident. But like, that's a challenge in under the circumstances. So they're dealing with that bit of weirdness. It's wild. It's got just a bizarre cast of characters. It's tuned. I need to see if there's like difficulty settings because I feel like it's tuned a little bit. It's tuned to be like a little bit more difficult than I actually want to. Like, I don't want to go that hard.
Maybe it is F-Zero.
Yeah, like it's not quite F-Zero GX. This is like punishingly difficult from the jump, but like I'm reasonably good at racing games and I was surprised that it was like a surprisingly challenging. But part of it is just I'm not used to the controls. Because the controls are also a little weird. Like you've got controls for both steering and drifting, and honestly, the drift controls are the like the steering is more fine control, whereas like drifting is gross like motions. And I guess that makes sense, but it's weird. But it is neat. Like and it's just gorgeous. If you like beyond 90s cyberpunk anime, then it's gorgeous. But yeah, it's been a wild time. I'm honestly having a bunch of fun with it when I'm not distracted by something else, but yeah, it's cool. Very, very, very stylish.
Okay, what is Promise Mascot Agency?
Madness.
Oh, what isn't Promise Mascot Agency? Promise Mascot Agency is a game about coming to a dried up, dying rural town and helping everybody. That's what it is.
Yes.
And
And
What?
the main
I mean-
character is voiced by the same voice actor that voices Kiryu in the Yakuza games.
Frankly, just playing the same character. Also, there's the little detail that this is a world in which your mascots, which you're thinking about like, people in costumes usually, big, does events kinds of things, really big in Japan.
Yeah, like Japanese style mascots.
Yeah, they're like
body
just,
suits. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not suits, they're just actual people that look like that.
They are actual like living beings.
Yeah, some of them, it's fine. They're adorable. They're well liked. They're charismatic. Some of them.
Those aren't the ones you're working with.
Those aren't the ones you're working with. You're working with the misfits.
Yeah.
And boy, are there some misfits.
Your sidekick is her name is Pinky, because she's a severed pinky, or more specifically, her father is a severed digit, and her mother was a marshmallow fairy. So she's a severed pinky with like big anime eyes. She's really cute.
I would like to note, because it's going to be cut out in editing, the stunned silence.
And the crazy thing is, like, you're interacting with all of these characters, and mostly they're just people. Like yes, they're like one of them is a walking Motsunabe, which is a whole thing. But like he's just a guy that
I mean,
likes Motsunabe. But you know,
the very first mascot working in your mascot agency is Tofu,
yeah, he's just a block
who
of tofu.
who's they have like little one-liner descriptions of each of them. Tofu is trying to be brave, is soft but wants to be firm.
And he cries all the time.
Cries all the time.
And you're here to try and help him.
The closest analog, having played through and hit credits and like played through the post credits, the closest game I have by comparison is Night in the Woods.
Yeah, Night in the Woods / Yakuza.
Yeah, like
take those two and squish them together, and this is what you end up with.
Yeah, and like it's a really weird thing to say, but like there's a lot of similar vibe going on, and
because this game is set in a fictional town in Fukuoka, which is a in the southern island of Japan. Very mountainous, very rural. And this is a town that, like I said, it's dried up and dying. Like the people who are living here, it's either that they don't have anywhere else to go, or they want to try and they're trying to, do something, but what can you do?
Or they're like they literally came here because nobody will follow them here.
Yeah.
Like it's people trying to lie low from something else, or like it's a mess. It's like a deeply corrupt local
the mayor's
mayor.
terrible. The mayor is one of the few 100% absolutely bad guys in this game. Like this is not a spoiler. Like it is clear from the beginning he's terrible.
Yeah, mayor sucks. And you genuinely get to go, like everybody you meet is interesting. I couldn't even start with the characters because every character is interesting. They're doing something interesting in every, even the most minor side characters, they're doing something interesting with.
Yeah.
And so I don't know that I've seen a cast that is simultaneously this large with as few dud characters that I don't think are interesting in the entire thing. But yeah, it's really good. Yeah, it's a blend of like the actual gameplay is a blend of like worker placement management and just wandering around and getting to know the town.
Yeah. Driving around in your little Daihatsu.
Yeah. Get this little like mini pickup truck. Main character's very attached to it. It's a great truck.
Yeah. But the basic premise is you are a Yakuza who was you and your oath brother were overseeing a major transfer of funds that was going to lead to the union of the various Yakuza families and peace between them all and everything. It all went wrong. It has been brooded about that you are now dead. You have been sent by the matriarch of your family to this place to basically make up for what you did and lie low and try and make some money with the only business they have remaining after having to sell off everything else to keep, the other families from coming after her. And so that's why you're running this mascot agency, because it's all that's left. And it is in serious disrepair when you get there.
Oh yeah, it's a mess. And from there, it is going to take you on a wild ride through the history and present of this little rundown rural town.
A remarkably grounded wild ride, all things considered.
Right? Yes.
Like, despite the fact that this is a world with living mascots and all this stuff, like most of what's happening seems pretty realistic, and yeah, that makes sense. Down to earth.
It's got I found it to be I found the whole story to be really satisfying. It absolutely sticks the landing. All of the stuff that it does managed to both keep me guessing and not feel contrived.
Mm-hmm.
Like I believed the setup for everything, even stuff that was a surprise.
Yeah.
I really this game, and it was really chill to play.
Yes. Yeah, it's because mostly you're just tooling around in your little pickup truck, looking for collectibles and, exploring the island and finding new places, recruiting new mascots. I still have not found all of the garbage to pick up, but I may give up on that. The one part that is not chill is the freaking time trials. I do not think I'm getting gold on any time trials because that pickup truck handles like a cow.
Yeah, I mean, that it's not a performance.
It is not. I've tried multiple of them. I successfully got bronze in one.
I've done okay in a few of them through maneuvers that truck is not made.
Well, yes.
Also, you do not have to do any of those to unlock all of the achievements.
That is true. I have every single achievement for the game.
Yeah, this is one of the very, very few games that I got every single achievement in.
But yeah, and this is the second game by this studio, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else they do in the future. And having also hit credits on Promise Mascot Agency today, I booted up their previous game, Paradise Killer, and wow, this game is not grounded. It is like I can see the line. Like I believe that this is the same studio. Absolutely, this is a game. Paradise Killer is a game about being an investigator in a synthetic city run by immortals who worship eldritch horrors.
What? That's a lot.
And
Wow.
you were exiled millennia ago, for reasons that come out like as you're exploring, and you've been brought back to investigate the murder of the entire ruling council.
Okay.
And despite the sound of that, it's a remarkably brightly colored and pleasant experience exploring this city. Like it's definitely a dystopia, but it's the character. Much like in Promise Mascot Agency, it's not as many characters, but it's a fair number of characters, and they're all really interesting. But yeah,
I'm watching the studio with interest.
Yeah, I'm very, very impressed, and it's a small studio too.
Yeah.
Like I was, watching the credits, for Promise Mascot Agency. I was somewhat taken aback by how few names there were in under each heading, and how much the same names kept coming up over and over. Like it's not a lot of folks, but they did a very impressive job.
Yeah, I really like this game is a strong game of the year.
Yeah.
But I mostly got into because like the game dev social media circles I run in have not shut up about it for like a month.
I'm glad, because I had not heard of either of these games until you brought them up, and man,
Really good.
They're fantastic. Like this is some of the best stuff I played in a while.
I've had a really good I played under 20 hours, and I was pretty slow and chill about my playthrough. You could go a lot faster than I did.
Yes.
And I suspect you could do this in like 10 or.
Yeah, I finished Promise Mascot Agency in 20 hours, and I mean that was finding every collectible and everything that I possibly could.
Yeah.
Like if I had mainlined the story, I could probably have done it in half that.
Yeah. And it was just like, it was just fun. It was chill. Enjoyed wandering through it, but I was also getting a good story that wasn't a downer.
Yeah.
And that also was just timeless. Yeah, really good game.
Okay. What is the player fantasy with which you used to win at Last Epoch?
I got to be a lightning spellblade. I'm a lightning.
So good.
I'm a lightning spellblade. It's really good, and I could actually beat everything in the game with it. It was really satisfying. I don't know what I do now. Maybe I'll start another class. Maybe I'll learn any other class other than spellblade.
Learn Primalist. Nobody said you had to be done with lightning.
It's fair. There's multiple ways I could be not done with lightning. But yeah, it's just I realize I have a like particular niche taste, and it feels so rare that I get to just lean into it and actually be successful, as opposed to like fighting the game and its mechanics to do the thing I want to. So it's just really satisfying, and it's been a while.
So I
Yes.
take it you've taken out the initial Aberroth fight. Did you?
I did both initial and Uber Aberroth.
Oh
Oh,
wow!
wow.
I have
And then-
never touched Uber Aberroth.
Immediately upon beating Uber Aberroth, I was like, well, I don't actually need to do that again, because it wasn't easy. Like, I'm not gonna pretend that that was a trivial match. But immediately after doing that, I was like, all right, I have to know. And I put fantastic Battle Mage's Endeavor into the corrupting blender. Because I was like, I didn't do it while I needed it. But as soon as I didn't, I was like, I gotta know what it's gonna do.
Womp
Yeah, womp womp. Immediately bad.
Did it become bricked?
It wasn't just ruined, but it was ruined.
Yeah.
There are a few bad outcomes. The most obvious bad outcome is that it literally ruins the item. It cracks in half, basically. You can't equip it. It can get turned into a rare, completely random rare, or it can get rerolled with minimum stats. Battle Mage's Endeavor has a very, very wide range of rolls.
Yeah. I got the minimum stats, and minimum stats they're bad. It is a big difference going from like 73% chance of proccing an ability to a 40% chance.
Yeah.
Not
And that's
good.
the buff version. That's the buffed low end. Used to be like
Yeah.
20 something.
Yeah, it used to be much lower. But yeah, I've taken a bit of time and like messed around with some other builds, all of which are good. Like it is really, really, really satisfying to see this build that I've always liked. I've always really liked Spellblade, but other than like one or two builds, mostly frost related, it's really struggled with either having a good flow, because fire doesn't really have a good flow, or like really massive stat problems, which was lightning's problem. Like it just couldn't scale because you couldn't really focus your damage. And so once I could do that, it was like, oh, this is awesome. Super satisfying.
I did start out the season as a Spellblade. I did not stay as Spellblade because my heart belongs to Werebear. But the Spellblade I made was a Frost Spellblade, and that character is deathless, and my Werebear is not.
I still need to switch over to a frogs build. I leveled and played a bunch on Stormcrows, and it was great, but they die on boss fights, and that's less great.
Even with investment, you can't fix that?
Probably I could help it, but
That was
it's-
previously my issue with them. They died all the friggin' time, but I figured that's just because I was playing a Druid. If I was playing a Beastmaster, it'd be fine.
I mean, they don't die on maps. Like they're pretty much fine most of the time, but boss fight less great. But I really want to mess with the frogs anyway. I just need to sit down on an afternoon and make all the adjustments.
I did briefly mess with that a little bit while I was trying to get my minion build up and running, but I did not end up sticking with it. Currently, I am in the middle of a Summon Vines based Werebear build, which is very good, but I have taken some of the lessons used here, and I'm using them to basically redo my Lightning build into what should hopefully be a better one. And build transitioning in empowered monos is a thing. Takes a while.
Oh yeah, bit of adjustment.
But it's going pretty well, since I can just sort of build up gear for that build while working on this build. And they also use the same ring, so don't need to worry about finding another Legends Entwined.
If you like the idea of having an aura of fire around you, now is a very good time for it, because fire aura is going to get nerfed.
It's going to get nerfed into the ground. Maybe do it now.
Yeah, like my build only sort of dabbled in fire aura, and when I realized that it was a genuinely horrifying component of my damage, I leaned all the way in on it, and it was silly.
Yeah, that sounds like me last league and the Thorns build that was just like things died before they could even get to me.
I'm amused that they did not in any way nerf the damage of that build.
Okay. It does not work in the exact same way that it did previously.
No, they nerfed the range of that build.
Yeah, well, so I logged into the character from last league just out of
Oh.
curiosity. Can it function? And no, it can't function.
Aww.
Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. So like, there's probably a way to make it work, but like, not in the exact optimal state that it did previously. I don't know. Like, I got all the way up to Aberroth and just haven't had the mental fortitude to push through Aberroth. But also might try some other build.
If you like not dying, may I suggest Spellblade?
I mean, like, I am curious about Fire Aura.
It's worth the experience.
I mean, I am a Righteous Fire enjoyer, so
I absolutely got to the point where I could walk through empowered monos at like 340-ish corruption without pressing attack buttons. Just the passive firearm.
Attack button.
What?
Surge is an attack button, technically.
Yeah, I didn't need to press surge.
Oh.
Like,
Wow.
just the control stick, I could clear empowered monos. Like, sometimes it was annoying, because, like, if you run in, like, champions could be a problem. Like, there are some things that would, like, require me to press a button, but mostly, no, I just walk through stuff. It was a lot. I suspect Aberroth and Uber Aberroth are supposed to be harder than that.
yeah, I'm actually having to do mechanics on Aberroth, and that's the reason why I haven't killed him yet. So did you do any attempts on whatever that new boss is that they added in that's part of the Omen corruption thing?
I did not, because I didn't really do any. I didn't really do any research on what that would actually.
Yeah, I don't even know how you get to it.
I don't know either.
I have not organically encountered it.
I believe it's a new Woven Echo, but I have no idea how you get this Woven Echo.
Probably off the Weaver?
I think you might have to buy it.
Yeah. Like, I did the one that where you open 3 at once and then fight it all at the same time. But like, that's and I think the quest asked me to go do a different one, and I've not done that one yet. And that might be it. I feel like I fully understand this next topic. Because quite honestly, this is my stance on Linux-based devices in general.
I mean, fair.
Sometimes you just gotta nuke it. Like,
Yep. Just scrub it down to the bare metal and start over.
I mean, the terrible irony here. So this is I've been working on going through old game consoles, and I've set up and setting up like handheld emulators. I did not previously appreciate how one might end up with more than they need. And it turns out that this is very much like I don't understand why somebody would have more than one monitor for their computer. Oh, I see. But I haven't had that many problems with like relatively simple devices. Like the Anbernic stuff I've been putting stuff on have been perfectly straightforward and reasonable. It's like, I don't know, flash the stuff to the SD card, plug it into the system does what I want it to. Like, that's been fairly straightforward. And I've talked about, like, I've wanted to do more complicated like later games, basically PS2 and onward. And so I have an Thor that I've basically only struggled. Like, I can kind of get some things working on it, but like the experience of getting it set up has just been like nightmarish for me. And like a big part of it is turns out I just really don't like Android devices. And part of that, as it turns out, is that what I really want to do is I want to take the thing's brain out, plug it into my actual real computer, configure it on there, and then plug it into the little handheld thing and have it just work. Like, I don't want to do any configuration on the actual device ever, if I can avoid it.
maybe
And that's
you
just
can remote desktop into an Android device and essentially do that with ADB. That's how I configure my Android handhelds. Like,
but so after like fighting for this thing for a few weeks and getting frustrated and just leaving it and like not having it all work, I finally took Void's advice. Thanks, Void, and just did an entire setup video by rote. Like, literally everything they told me to do, I just did without questioning it until I got about partway through and I was like, put the like performance monitor on. Like, I don't actually care about my frame. I'm playing a PS2 game. I care about my but like basically everything else I just did straight up, and it's not my favorite front end, but it's fine. I'm not that picky. But yeah, it was like, okay, all of these things are configured, and I actually appreciated the videos. Like, yeah, a lot of people have asked me to do a just all the way through setup video, and it's like a 2-hour long video. But I basically just factory reset the thing yesterday evening and spent a couple of hours putting it all together, and now it just works. Like, the only time I have something that doesn't work is if like the actual ROM is bad, which is rare. And so that one's I've managed to hop into a handful of things. Forgot how much I loved SSX Tricky.
That is a great game.
That's a great game. Like, I don't remember why we got a whole bunch of snowboarding games at one point, but they were really good.
I mean,
a
EA
lot of
Sports really wanted to make fantastical games, and they hit it pretty big with SSX. So they made two more good ones.
Yeah, they were great. There's a bunch of weird stuff. Like, I'm realizing that my gap in Nintendo DS games is almost as big as my gap in PS2 games. But also, weirdly, I've played everything good on the Dreamcast. Which, I mean...
That's not that surprising.
It's a short list.
It does not have a deep library.
No.
I mean, there are some really edge case titles that are Japanese only, but...
It turns out I've played several of those too.
Like, for example, Cannon Spike is one that I love that only came out over there, I think. I believe it only came out over there.
There's a world in which the stars align slightly differently, and I became obsessed with Phantasy Star Online.
Oh, I was absolutely obsessed with Phantasy Star Online. Like, that was my first MMO. That was the thing that got me into them.
Yeah, like, I can absolutely see it.
I had I think it was Lixang was the import shop that I bought lots of stuff from, and I had an adapter that allowed me to hook up a PS2, like as in the PC PS2 port keyboard to my controller, and also have the controller hooked up to it so I could chat with people with a keyboard in PSO.
Wild.
There was all sorts of a culture around like doing specific kinds of runs, and it was interesting. It was a fun time.
But yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff on a variety of that. Like, basically, when I was playing a lot of MMOs, there's a whole bunch of stuff that came out. It was really good that I just totally missed. Like, if it wasn't an MMO or a PC game or Guitar Hero / Rock Band, I just was not.
See, and the weird thing is like, I was originally super console oriented, and then I started playing. Really, it was from MMOs on that I mostly stopped playing console games at all. But like prior to that, I was exclusively a controller player, which is wild to me because I am probably the most. I will force WASD if humanly possible now. But like, I had a complete change in religion with EverQuest. Well, that and the BioWare games.
Yeah.
The first Mass Effect was that was an interesting PC release, let's say.
Yes.
I'm specifically talking about Baldur's Gate.
Well, fair. That's Black Isle, though. That's not even BioWare yet.
Jade Empire was, I mean, obviously KOTOR was a huge thing, but Jade Empire was the game where I was like, oh, it doesn't need to be an IP I already know. This game is great. But yeah, one of my takeaways from playing through almost the entire SNES library is that there's a lot of very, very similar games, but we get more varied as we get into like the Nintendo 64 and onward. Even the PlayStation, really. Friend's kid. The other thing that I've been going through is old Pokemon games. Because there's a lot of them.
Yes.
And my kid is into Pokemon now in a big way. So I've been like setting up these things, but one of my kids' friends, who's a few years older, also into it. Like, oh, what Pokemon did you like? What was your best what's the best Pokemon you had when you were playing? I was like, Mew? And it was definitely an answer that got me a look from this kid. Like, a Mew? What? Like, yeah, I went to a Toys R Us once upon a time and trade and got a Mew. It was a whole thing.
Yep.
It was like, you mean like on the original Red and Blue? Yeah. Wasn't that in the 1900s?
Technically.
Yes, in fact.
Thanks so much. But then he was, but then they were like, I really want to play those. I hear they're amazing. And I'm like, it's like, but finding a Game Boy that works and finding one of those cards is like impossible. I'm like, it's a solvable problem. It's a solvable problem for not several $100s like you think it is.
Game Boy emulation works basically on any platform you can think of.
You can emulate a Game Boy on a keychain.
Yeah, I originally played Blue on an emulator. Like I never owned the first Pokemon game I owned was X. I don't remember if I have X or Y, but whichever one I have of those.
The first Pokemon game I owned was Blue, and I got it not that long after it came out.
I mean, I played it on an emulator not that long after it came out. Game Boy was very old tech at that point, and ROM dumpers were very plentiful.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, by 1998, Game Boy was not exactly novel.
You didn't know.
I mean, I got my Game Boy, I think, in 89.
Yeah, that sounds about
Yeah.
right.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I got it the year it came out. So that, yeah, it would have been 89.
That I didn't get. I had a friend give me his Game Boy when he got a Game Boy Color.
Aha.
And I think that was 99.
I remember that they had that promo where it was like, go to, I don't even remember, I think it was a Toys R Us.
It was Toys R Us. It was the only place that did it in the US.
Toys R Us.
Yeah,
it was
go to a Toys R Us, but it was only some Toys R Us's. It wasn't all of them. It certainly wasn't the one in my hometown.
Uh-oh.
And I have a distinct memory of hounding my parents while we were on a trip to New York City to go into a Toys R Us so I could do this thing. And like trying to convince them what I was doing and why.
Trying to make them understand how important this is.
Yes. It was like unbelievably uphill battle.
For anyone listening to this nowadays, if you want to get a Mew in the original Red and or Blue, there are several glitches that will let you do it. You do not have to go to a Toys R Us.
It's an
Good luck
extremely
going to a Toys R Us now.
It's an extremely easy glitch to pull off. Even.
Yes, it's not difficult. It has no other danger to your game.
Like this isn't
it's
some
not
weird missing no thing that can bork your save. It's quite simple.
The difference, however, is my Mew has a unique.
Your Mew actually has Game Freak as the original trainer.
Yeah. Now, granted, it's stuck on that cart. It's never leaving that. Like,
right.
It lives there forever and will never leave it. Fine. But it's legit.
I think the dumbest console thing that I was ever obsessed with was trying to hack my Final Fantasy 3/6 save game so I got permanent General Leo. It was a thing. There was a whole subculture on whatever the Game Genie Cheat Club wiki.
Oh, yeah.
Like it was originally on AOL, I think, and then there was a wiki that spun off, and like it was a whole subculture of obsessed folks trying to figure out how to make it so that General Leo would stay on.
Oh yeah, before there was Eris, there was General Leo.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And like I remember I successfully got the sprite of General Leo to stay, but was some other character. Yeah.
Yeah, Final Fantasy VI overrides various characters with other characters when because you can't have certain ones in the party at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the Moogles at the beginning of the game are actually in the character slots of other real characters that come in later.
Yeah.
So I think General Leo is also one of these. So it might be like him or Umaro or something.
I forget who it was, but yeah, it was you could keep the sprite, but you couldn't keep the stats.
Sounds like one of the ways to get Glitch Leo into your party replaces Bannon.
Yeah, I think that was it. Right. Yeah.
But I thought Bannon is also a temporary character though. So
Right. And once that was the problem was you could have General Leo as an override of Bannon, but then when Bannon disappears, so does Leo, if I remember correctly.
it has been a while since I've looked into this. There was an excellent Let's Play on Something Awful that went into a great amount of detail about this system because it doesn't actually require a game GD to get various people into the World of Ruin who weren't supposed to be there.
That game was so complex for its time. And all the things that happened, like if you didn't do something, if you didn't wait for Shadow, you couldn't retrieve Shadow in the World of Ruin. And I was obsessed with that game. I was so obsessed with that game.
Oh yeah, no,
It's a good game.
I think we've sort of generally wound down. Any short topics anybody has?
Dune Awakening's like next patch series and so forth is really impressive. I'm very much looking like this game. This game started as something I find interesting, but has a bunch of rough edges that make it a little hard for me to recommend. And their updates have consistently made me go, "Hey, that's great, actually."
Yeah,
I had no clue Thalen had been keeping my base alive, so I was pleasantly surprised to log in and still have things.
Yep. No, every so often while I'm out flying around doing whatever, I'll load up on energy cells and drop by the bases I know about and top them up.
Yeah, I went through and turned off a bunch of stuff to extend my life. But like, I'm really excited about being able to manipulate. I mean, being able to stand up a self-hosted server. I think that's
that's great. That's
but also just like, also I can tweak a bunch of settings like base decay. What if you just didn't? Do you want to turn off PvP everywhere? Yeah, I do actually. Cool. You could just do that. Have a separate deep desert where there's no PvP whatsoever.
Yeah, but it sounds like they're doing that all on their own.
They're doing that all on their own. Like,
because surprise, people don't like it.
Yeah, crazy.
But like
there'll still be a PvP deep desert, and I guess the rewards will be better there. But whatever.
Okay, fine.
That's fine.
That's cool, bro.
Like,
yeah.
But also like actual surprise, they're listening to people and doing the thing.
That yes.
That is the actual surprise. Yes.
Well, what was the statement that like 80% of players did not engage with any form of PvP?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Like,
honestly, I'm surprised it's that low.
I mean, if you got ganked randomly, I guess that counts as engaging.
Yeah, like right now, you actually still have to go into areas where you might have PvP. So, like, there's probably a large portion of that that's accidental and wouldn't have wanted it.
Yeah, now that pretty soon that number is going to drop to like 5% of players are engaging with you. But, let that be a lesson. And also, I think the game is interesting enough without that.
It really is.
I think the challenge is like, I don't know, like I said this in a few different places, but like a lot of times I think this is, it was so fun when we were doing this in the office. Clearly other players are going to want to do the thing that we did in the office with people we know and like aren't going to abuse because we know these people.
Right.
And that doesn't translate to random strangers.
Our friends and family alpha went really well. Our closed beta, where we kicked anybody who was a problem. Like, over a game studio job where it's the entirety of the job description is like, you need to be the worst playtest jerk. It's your job to be despised in the office.
You are allowed to know the vision, and you are allowed to fight it.
Yes.
Yeah, in the development company that we used to play, lunch and after work shooter games, it was a guy with the last name of Faults. He was the one that would firebomb his entire team just so that he could score a point.
Yep. And if your whole studio is like that,
you find another studio.
I don't know. But yes, I'm looking forward to that update. I've been I hopped in and caught up on a lot of the stuff that they've added since I had taken the break previously, and it's cool. It's cool stuff.
I had been gone long enough that I triggered the welcome back gift. So
That welcome back gift is not messing around.
well, especially on top of the other gift that I already had that I hadn't had a chance to use like even a fraction of.
Yeah.
It all continues to just sit in your like account inventory thingy.
WayForward released a Sigma Star Saga DX onto Steam this week, which is just an emulated version of the GBA game with some balance changes and also achievements. But also the ROM is just in the folder. So if you want to play it on another better emulator, you can do that.
It's kind of awesome. Or if you have some sort of dedicated handheld device.
Yep. You miss out on achievements that way, I guess. But this is one of the most unique games ever. So I'm glad they're not just letting it die as a GBA game. Sigma Star Saga is an RPG mixed with a shoot 'em up. That is not to say it's a shoot 'em up with RPG elements. It's an RPG where a shoot 'em up is the battle system.
Why?
That's probably a show considering the large gaps that I'm going to edit out that you won't hear as the listener at home. Hopefully you enjoyed the show, and we will see you again next week. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
See you.